Imagine you wake up in the middle of the night to a strange sound, but everything is quiet, just the wind. You fall back asleep, and in the morning, your neighbor is gone. No trace, no note, no explanation. And nobody, absolutely nobody, saw anything suspicious because he looked completely normal. He had a normal job, a normal face, a normal life. His name was Israel Keys, and during his interrogation, he told FBI agents something that made their blood run cold. "You guys know more about me now than anyone ever has." He said it calmly, almost with relief, as if finally, after years of silence, someone could finally see who he really was. Welcome to the crime cabin. Alaska, early 2000s. Israel Keys, an ordinary man in his early 30s, a building contractor, a quiet neighbor, a loving father to a small daughter. On Sundays, he went to church. On weekdays, he worked with his hands. Honestly, carefully, professionally. He built little ramps so his girlfriend's dogs could get into the backyard. He went fishing, he went hiking, he went kayaking at Eklutna Lake. Regular things Alaskans do. His neighbors included a Superior Court judge. Nobody was suspicious. Nobody. But while that small Alaskan town slept, Israel Keys was planning, not his next workday, not a family vacation. He was planning murders, years in advance. Here is what made him truly terrifying. Most serial killers are creatures of habit. They hunt close to home, in familiar places, among familiar people. That is their weakness. That is exactly how they get caught. Israel Keys knew this, and he did the exact opposite. His system was simple in its monstrous logic. First, preparation. He took a sealed container, packed everything he needed inside. Rope, zip ties, a weapon, everything required to kill a person and leave no trace. Then he drove to a forest, far from home, in another state, sometimes thousands of miles from Alaska, and he buried the container. Just like that. No specific victim in mind, no specific date, just for later. Then he went home, lived a normal life, for months, sometimes years. He said he spent time in the woods and hunted, and I quote, anything with a heartbeat. And then he bought a plane ticket, flew to a random city, rented a car, drove to the forest, and dug up his kit. The FBI called it operational security at the level of a professional intelligence agent. Think about that for a moment. No connection to the victim, no ties to the location, no witnesses, no evidence, just a stranger who arrived, killed, and left. Among his known victims, Bill and Lorraine Currier, an ordinary couple from Vermont, June 2011, a warm summer evening. They were having dinner at home, watching television. They had no idea that someone had been watching their house from the darkness for several hours. That night, Israel Keys entered their home, drove them to an abandoned farmhouse, and disappeared into the dark. Investigators would not connect him to this crime for over a year. His downfall came from a single mistake. Just one. February 2012, Anchorage, Alaska, early morning. 18-year-old Samantha Koenig was opening the coffee stand where she worked. Israel Keys approached the window, like any ordinary customer. Within minutes, Samantha was gone. What happened next is perhaps the most chilling detail of this entire story. He held her for weeks, and then he flew to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. He partied, he celebrated, he blended into the crowd like any other tourist. While Samantha's family was desperately searching for her, That is how confident he was. That is how untouchable he believed himself to be. But this time, he made one mistake he had never made before. He used her debit card, one ATM camera, one frame, one face. The FBI tracked him down within weeks. When agents arrested him, they thought they had caught a local criminal. They had no idea they were looking at one of the most methodical killers in American history. In interrogations, the FBI brought him espresso, cigars, bagels, candy bars. They let him feel like he was in control. And Israel Keyes talked, and talked, and talked. He didn't deny anything. He negotiated. He would reveal details of one murder in exchange for better conditions. Hint at the next, in exchange for privileges. Once, after weeks of interrogation, he looked at the agents across the table and said quietly, "You guys know more about me now than anyone ever has." The agents exchanged glances because they still knew almost nothing. And then in December 2012, Israel Keyes was found dead in his cell. He had strangled himself and slashed his wrists. He left an encrypted note written in his own blood. The code has never been broken. He took his secrets with him. Officially, 11 victims. But FBI agents who worked directly with Keyes speak quietly and carefully. The real number could be much higher. Much higher. More than 5 years after his death, the FBI confirmed. Some aspects of the case are still considered open. Somewhere in the forests of America, in Vermont, Texas, Washington, perhaps right near your town, his containers may still be there. Untouched, waiting. Israel Keyes built a system so perfect that some investigators still believe we know only a small part of the truth about him. He built little ramps for his dogs. He went to church on Sundays. He raised his daughter. He smiled at his neighbors. And nobody knew. He once said during interrogation that he fantasized and planned killings in the midst of an otherwise ordinary-seeming life. That is perhaps the most terrifying thing about this entire story. Not what he did, but how easily a monster can look completely normal. Maybe you once saw his face at a gas station, in a store, on the street. So, we will never know. Welcome to the Crime Cabin. Every story here is real, and every one of them could have happened to any of us. We'll see you next time, if you dare to come back.